Hi, thank you to everyone online for joining us live today in our special edition of Plant Protein, the company presentation. Presented by the CSE, we are proud to have 3 companies and 1 moderator. Sisters Carla and Laura Gustafson from Ulivit, Ahmad Yahya, president of Nabati Foods, Inc., and Craig Harden, co-founder, Future of Cheese. Our special guest moderator is Brad Farquhar. Our objective today in running this plant protein series is actually threefold. Normally it's 2, but I added a 3rd one later on. First, it's for companies to gain visibility and traction on an accessible platform. The second is to inform capital markets players and investors about these types of companies in the space, while also providing new knowledge of what is happening in the plant protein and plant-based areas. Thirdly, this is to complement last week's series on the science of protein. You gained the base and knowledge, and now you can hear and listen to these company presentations with a slightly deeper understanding. If you already knew the science, the listening field has now been equaled. We will have company presentations not only this Thursday, but next as well. As for you, the attendees, we do ask that you share ideas and feedback with our presenters, leads, possible funding, after due diligence, referral of someone with unique applicable expertise, or maybe even a potential strategic relationship. You can find their contact information in the profile boxes. With respect, we might refrain from giving management advice unless we are truly experts in the company's particular field, and don't treat our presenting companies as marketing targets for services. Some housekeeping matters. This is really short. If the images aren't clear and you're not seeing them or they're incomplete, check your bandwidth, refresh your screen, or contact IT. We usually have a disclaimer that I'll put up in the chat box later. Each company will have 7 minutes to present. When they see my face or they see a motion of me doing a circle, that means they have about 15 seconds to wrap up. After all the companies have presented, we will move into Q&A with our special guest moderator, Brad Farquhar. Brad is the co-founder and executive VP and CFO of Regina-based Input Capital Corp. I'm going to read Brad's his bio later on when it's during the Q&A session. But let's move on. Without further ado, before I forget, if you have questions, use the chat box. It's on the right-hand side. You can either use the chat box or the question box, or both. We'll make sure to try and answer it, or at least direct you to appropriate web links. So first up, this is a first. We have 2 sisters, Carla and Laura Gustafson from Ulivit. Carla Gustafson is co-founder of Ulivit, an innovative plant-based food company crafted from the world's most sustainable crops, pulses. She supports Ulivit's operations, planning, accounting, and overall management. She has an MBA from the University of Alberta and a BA in economics from the University of Saskatchewan. 25 years in planning and project management. Prior to Ulivit, she worked for Enbridge doing strategic planning and KPMG Consulting, conducting corporate and cost analysis. She enjoys outdoor sports, reading, volunteering, long walks along the beach. I'm kidding about that last one. And Junior League of Calgary. Her sister Laura is co-founder and CEO of Ulivit, an innovative plant-based company crafted from the world's most sustainable crops. Waiting for the pause. Pulses. Passionate about creating the brightest future of plant-based foods, Laura sits on the board of Plant-Based Foods of Canada, an advisory board of the Plant Protein Alliance of Alberta, the Saskatoon Food and Ingredient Manufacturing Cluster, and previously on the board of the University of Saskatchewan Huskies Football Foundation. Go Huskies. Before starting Ulivit, she had a successful career in healthcare as a surgical sales specialist with Cardinal Health, setting new standards of excellence for the company. She received her BA from the University of Saskatchewan and a BCom from the University of Alberta. Without further ado, I turn it over to Carla and Laura.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having us. We're super excited to be here. My name is Laura Gustafson.
And I'm Carla. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
And we're the founders of Ulivit. We make delicious plant-based food from sustainable Canadian pulse crops such as chickpeas, lentils, dried peas, and beans. We're here to chat with you about plant protein, the new age of food. No buts about it. Plant-based food is exploding. Ulivit was started after I'd been working in healthcare for over 10 years and was seeing what food and diet was doing on the operating table, and I thought there has to be a better way. So I started dropping in on nutrition classes at the university. I met the Dean of Agriculture at the time, Dr. Bob Tyler, and everybody is praising pulses. After researching them, I found out how amazing they are. Not only are they super good for you, as they reduce your risk of diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, obesity, even some cancers, they're also really good for the earth. Plus, they're local. Saskatchewan is the largest grower in the whole wide world of lentils. And my favorite, they're plant-based, so hopefully we can help save millions of animals' lives. Thus began our passion for pulses and the creation of Ulivit.
5 years ago, most people hadn't heard of plant-based proteins. In the summer of 2019, not only did A&W sell out of the Beyond Burger, but it sold out within 72 hours and posted signs that the burger wouldn't be back for 2 months. Plant-based food, it's exploding. Sales in plant-based food outpaced grocery food sales by 5 times in the past year, and sales are anticipated to grow from $5 billion today to over $110 billion by 2035. This growth is driven by shifting consumer values, people looking to reduce their consumption of animal products, and people wanting more variety in their diet. Surprisingly, this growth is not being driven by vegans and vegetarians, but by omnivores and flexitarians, those looking to include more plant-based meals without cutting out animal products entirely. And you name it, they want more plant-based protein. Gen Zs, North Americans, athletes, celebrities, governments, and world bodies. The governments of Canada and the US have updated their food guides to include plant-based proteins such as beans and peas in place of animal proteins. It is expected by the year 2040 that 60% of meat will come from non-animal sources, 60%. And Ulivit is uniquely positioned to participate, grow, and be a leading global player in the plant-based food revolution. The fact that Ulivit is selling a non-soy, plant-based meat when the majority of plant-based products are made with soy is grabbing the attention of customers and buyers who are looking for something unique to build their plant-based options.
Meet our innovative and first to market chickpea and fava bean plant protein 2.0. It's a crazy versatile meat and tofu alternative made from the most sustainable plant protein in the history of the world. It's soy-free, gluten-free, minimally processed, clean label, made with just 4 natural ingredients. Most plant-based options available are made from soy. Soy tofu is the #1 global ingredient in plant-based foods. However, people have concerns and are wanting alternatives to soy as it's the largest GMO crop in the world. It contains hormones such as estrogen. It's the #2 cause of deforestation worldwide, and it's a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. Did I mention we're soy-free? Our go-to-market strategy. With our $11.3 million grant and partnership with Protein Industries Canada and AGT Foods, we are also innovating delicious meat alternatives, tofu, tempeh, non-dairy substitutes, and snacks, all made with sustainable Canadian pulse crops. We have already tested positively with Costco, Loblaws, Kroger, and distributors. Our market entry, we're partnering with local grocery stores, food delivery companies, restaurants, and distributors, and then we're going to scale up with large grocery retailers. We're also currently working with large international companies to collaborate and create more plant-based snacks. Grow, we're going to work with Export Development Canada. We are part of their Ideally Canadian and Canada Innovates group of companies. We want to expand to the US and offer more price reductions. With greater volumes of scale, we can be more affordable for all. We've also been approached to be an ingredient in other plant-based food companies, and we're going to look into private label and online sales. Scale up, global expansion with key global players, and we also want to create additional products and product lines.
Oops, I don't know how to go back one. So today the challenges we face are scaling up and shipping. It used to be that every time we scaled up, we learned something new. Thankfully, production runs involve less learning. Today, accessing the right funding to manage the sales and manufacturing gap to successfully scale up is the challenge for Ulivit. The economics of shipping is a huge challenge, especially because our product requires refrigeration. Our challenge tomorrow will be competition. Currently, we do not have much competition, but this will change as more customers demand our non-soy products and companies enter the market to meet the demand.
And how did we get here? Through passion and perseverance. We followed our passion. We want to make the world a happy and healthier place. We have an awesome team. We have over 40 years of business experience. And we also have partnered up with Protein Industries Canada and AGT Foods. And our awesome group of advisors. We wouldn't even be here without Dr. Tyler, who introduced us and many others to the world of pulses. He's been instrumental in the mission and vision of our company. He's a wealth of knowledge and is a longtime plant protein researcher in the Agriculture Department of University of Saskatchewan. David Karwacki gave me the courage to quit my day job and start Ulivit. I was still working in healthcare and he said, quit your job, go all in. You can always go back to medical. Keith Driver, we met him at a plant protein event and love his zest and expertise as a passionate advocate of sustainable food. Platform Calgary and AgWest Bio are accelerators we are in, and this has given us access to mentors such as Brent Zettel, Scott Picard, and many others. Thank you very much. We would love to connect with you. If you're interested in investing in us, please reach out or even just reach out to say hi. And also please follow us on Instagram and check out our new website and sign up for our newsletter. Keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Next up, we have Ahmad Yahya, co-founder, and he leads the management team at Nabati Foods, Inc. Ahmed is directly involved with all aspects of the business, including R&D. Ahmed worked in the medical devices industry for several years, where he acquired several skills, including sales and team leadership. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. As I was introduced, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nabati Foods. I started Nabati with my partner out of passion for plant-based foods. I used to travel a lot across the country from hospital to hospital as a field engineer. So it was no fun finding great food on the road. Really what we wanted to do is not just create great food, but inspire others that value their health to indulge in real clean plant-based foods for a nourished, sustainable, and compassionate life. It's better for you, better for the planet, and that's what we're looking at. It's like, how do you solve the problems that we have here on this planet? And it starts with food. We know consumers are already demanding healthier plant-based foods, better foods than legacy foods in terms of texture, taste, and so on. And we see this as sales grow year over year. We're actually experiencing this right now with our current product lines, where we're beyond capacity as we're in the market here in Canada and in the US. What we're offering consumers is a whole natural plant-based products for health-conscious individuals looking to indulge in healthier foods without sacrificing taste. And we do this by creating products that are great for several major allergens, people with several major allergens. So we're basically targeting several segments, making our products dairy-free, egg-free, soy-free, gluten-free, and kosher as well, and certified vegan. Our current product lines are composed of our dairy-free cheesecakes, which are made with whole natural ingredients such as dates, cashews, nuts, and the rival legacy cheesecakes. A completely clean deck packaged in commercially compostable plastic inside the box that is made from sustainable forestry or certified sustainable forestry. We have our second great line that we launched last year that really helped us navigate the COVID environment, and it helped us grow the company over 80% in growth year compared to 2019. That's our cheese alternative, and this thing is amazing because we made it not to rival plant-based cheeses, but to rival the dairy industry in terms of melt, texture, how it performs, and cost for compared to a managed supply chain. And then we launched our plant-based meat alternatives in November, and we haven't been able to produce that much because we've been making so much cheese, it's crazy. But we have a lot of demand for our plant-based meats, and we're building a second facility right now here in Edmonton to produce a lot of plant-based meats and cheese alternatives. However, this company was not meant to be a one vertical company. We built this company to create foods. There's a few things I've omitted from this presentation that I'll only mention, and I suggest you head to invest.nabatifoods.com as we're raising capital right now. So we're developing a plant-based egg alternative too, which is very innovative, and we're looking forward to actually launch it very, very soon. So how do they look? Well, our cheesecakes, this is basically it. It looks like a great product. It's 4-inch in size, great, dense, and rich in great ingredients that are actually good for you. It gets you full instead of eating a whole big cake just by yourself when you're working for long hours. This is our cheese. It looks like dairy cheese when melted, not like plastic. We are proud to announce, basically, this is a little bit heads up, but Cause Bread has been using our cheese in a brand new pizza, and they're launching officially a campaign this Saturday across Canada using our cheese. So now you know who we've been making cheese for. And this is our plant-based meats. So we make a variety and with a focus on chicken, and we have a great opportunity that we're seizing here in the market. A lot of companies are focused on making a red meat alternative. We are focusing on white meat. So we're producing a plant-based chicken, and we're working on plant-based fish as well that we launched, but we're going to be expanding in these SKUs. We're making it's all gluten-free, it's all soy-free compared to what's out there in the market, and it actually tastes good. How are dairy-free cheesecakes compared to the competition? Our cheesecakes are premium. They're plant-based, soy-free, gluten-free, kosher, and vegan. But what we differentiate ourselves from the competition is sustainable packaging as well as the ingredient deck. Our Nabati cheese. Now, where we're coming compared to the competition is that we have a much better price per gram. So food service love that. We have a better ingredient deck. It's much shorter, and it's processed based instead of ingredient based. So our cheese is actually a very innovative product that is hard to replicate with just formulation. We have our channel partners. We are partnered here with Tree of Life, which is a division of Kihi in the US, and we're in Kihi with our dairy-free cheesecakes in the US. We have our products, our cheese in with GFS and Cisco in Canada, and pretty soon it'll be in the US. We just listed a few retailers really, but we're in a lot of retailers, over 300 retailers in Canada and over 120 in the US, and we're still expanding. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that. And I don't know about limiting the amount of cheesecake that I'm going to eat. I can't make any promises. Now, our final presenter, we go way back, at least a couple days. Chances are, if you've eaten Chef Craig Harden, chances are that you have eaten Craig Harding's food. He's the owner and executive chef of the California meets Italy-inspired La Palma. Was the brain behind the beloved gem Campanolo. I hope he was
close. You almost got that one, Barry.
Oh, please correct me on that.
Campagnolo.
Right? Yes, he was the brains behind that, and has recently created his latest outpost, Constantine, inside Toronto's chic new boutique hotel, the Andor House. Craig's passion and talent jumps off every plate, which is why in a city where restaurants come and go on the regular, his have endured and outlasted his competition. His restaurants have landed him on the most acclaimed restaurants lists, from Canada's top 100 to Toronto Life's top 10 and En Route magazine's best new restaurants in Canada. But Craig's talents aren't limited to back of house. He's also a star in front of the camera, appearing on Food Network, Chefs in Your Ear, TLN's Chef's Bar, and TLN's Opening Canada in celebration of Canada's 150th birthday. He's also wrapped up production on the 7th season of Opening series, traveling to distant and remote locations throughout Sicily to find the most authentic foods possible. I think I kind of want to be him when I grow up. It's no wonder the Toronto Star once named Chef Craig a Torontonian to watch. Craig is also a skilled public speaker, spokesperson, and brand ambassador for companies such as Amex and BMW. He's appeared several times on shows like Breakfast Television and the Global Morning Show, as well as long-standing partnerships with Banana Republic, Tennis Canada, and Delicioso, just to name a few. So, no pressure.
No pressure. Well, here, we're not eating my food today, so there isn't really a lot of pressure. We're just...
I would like... that should be one of the stipulations. If you want to be on the series,
I know.
You got to send moderators some food. All right, take it away.
We'll know that. We'll put that down for next time. Well, thank you for the warm welcome, Barrington, and thank you to the CSE for putting this panel together. And I'm really happy to just discuss our exciting new project called The Future of Cheese. And the thing, I was going to play a video, but I think we all know how important it is to embrace these types of companies, these plant-based food companies. The rate with which we are consuming dairy and meat is just not sustainable for the population growth in the future. And so we wanted to approach this company, and we believe we're the first to do it from a culinary standpoint. And like, as you were saying, Barrington, that is my background. I'm a chef by trade. I've run restaurants, and I stand behind everything that I put on the plate. And that is where I derive most of my passion. So I set out with a really great team, and I'm going to take a minute here and just pop this slideshow up. So
yes, it's showing.
It's showing, great. So we believe that the future of food is made from plants, and that was kind of that was our mandate in starting this, is that we wanted to create products that were made entirely from plants, but that felt and tasted and acted like actual dairy cheese, because we're I'm a flexitarian and we're cheese lovers, and nothing is more goes to support this more than our founding partner, who's not with us today, but his name is Afram Pristine, and he is a excuse me for a second, yeah, he's a maître fromager, and he's the owner of the Cheese Boutique. And what is so exciting about that is he's basically Canada's foremost cheese expert. So having him coupled with my approach to creating food kind of leaves the sky wide open for us to create amazing dairy or non-dairy products. We've also approached this from another angle, which is our science-based approach. So we've got a chemical engineer that's kind of working on ways to synthesize proteins and create really exciting things that are going to be able to allow us to innovate in what we believe is the future as well. Coupling it with the sustainability aspect, the innovation, and then just creating really delicious cheese products is the way that we're going to get to a really good place with the future of cheese. So we know it's growing. We know that the cheese market itself will be 4.6 billion by 2025, and we really wanted to dial in and focus in on that. So I've talked a little bit about our team. We've got the retail expert and the cheese expert in Afram. I understand food like nobody else, and what that allows us to do is create this this network of communication of what it is that Future of Cheese produces. So think about, people follow us and trust what we serve. So in our restaurants, it's an easy integration. So we're able to, follow along with the demand that's kind of come from our customers to introduce, non-dairy products. So that's an easy insertion of that right there. We also have a big network of, as if you look at Afram's world, in the Cheese Boutique world, he's a retailer first, and he's a distributor of products to other chefs and restaurants and other independent retailers across the country. So we have this opportunity to really get the products in with a really big network of high end, both retail and in the restaurant setting. Then there's our TV shows, which is also another fun opportunity. Afram's got a show coming out called Cheese: A Love Story, and he's definitely going to incorporate some of the plant-based stuff that's happening across the country and highlight a little bit about what we're doing. So that allows us to really gain some visibility. And the thing that also kind of differentiates us is that, we're aging these cheeses, and we really wanted to treat them in a way that you wouldn't know whether you were eating a dairy cheese or a non-dairy cheese. So we've made bries that are cultured and aged using some of the techniques that he's picked up along the way. We're making rich butters that feel and look and act in the pan like a normal butter. And so that's, for us, kind of, I think our differentiation is the team, the product, our approach, and like just the years of experience in the food world that we both have. So how do we get this to market? I mean, there's a three-pronged approach here that we want to take. So, and the first thing I want to mention is that, we're very excited to be hopefully finalizing the amalgamation with Organic Garage. So there's a letter of intent for them to acquire us, and we're hoping that gets sort of approved in the next month, at which point will be a subsidiary of Organic Garage. And they're one of Canada's leading natural food retailers. So they've got four shops right now, 4 stores now, opening a 5th. And we are really excited to leverage their the visibility within their stores, but also the natural food connections that they have. The distribution chain that they are a part of is going to be really key to get this out to the mass market. On top of that, we've got Cheese Boutique and its ability to broadcast and distribute across the country. And then utilizing some of the contacts that we have in larger grocers with Loblaws and people like, the Whole Foods and the McEwen world, who have already shown interest in what we are creating and are just really excited for us to actually get this product to market. We know that the direct consumer is a huge thing. E-commerce is big. The very good food company has really proved that point. So we definitely want to, make that one of our targets to make that a big part of the business plan. And then really the other one is the wholesale and food service. I touched on that earlier. I'm noticing in my restaurant and in all of my, sort of colleagues' restaurants that people are looking for the alternative. And who do they trust more than a fellow top chef to bring them a product that's going to work on their menus? So on top of implementing it in my menus, we're going to get them in our friends' restaurants. And then because we have those relationships with the the chains like Cisco and the larger cross like national companies, we're going to approach them and they're excited to taste what we have in store. Now that leads to tons of opportunities to get it into kind of national brands in the food service level. Moving on from that. So I mentioned this earlier. Why else is this really exciting? Because I really think that our partnership with Organic Garage gives us an incredibly long runway here and an incredibly large amount of growth potential. Because if you look at the market cap of 35 on really, really healthy sales, you've got a highly capitalized company with them, you've got a highly capitalized company with us, not a lot of debt, and we can really sort of do fantastic things in 2021. And if the industry and the sector has shown anything, when you compare it to the very good food company below, they've been able to do a very, very healthy business, albeit, less than what Organic Garage is already showing, but with a huge public market reception and, a big, big market cap. So we see
10 seconds, Craig. 10 seconds.
I'm wrapping it up. So we see a big opportunity to get in and really kind of facilitate growth with our partner in Organic Garage. So fingers crossed we can get this finalized in the near future, and then we're going to hit the ground running and get our products into stores by the 2nd week of March. Thank you, guys.
No, thank you. That was awesome. Thank you to all our presenters. We're going to bring you back on stage, even though you never really left, for the part that we call the Inquisition. This is exciting. And leading us today is Brad Farquhar. Brad from Input is the world's first agriculture commodity streaming company and is publicly traded on the TSXV. Brad is also executive in residence at Agribusiness at the University of Regina and on the advisory board of Ag Funder. He serves on the boards of several TSXV and CSE, as well as private companies in business as diverse as Mongolian real estate, carbon credits, blockchain applications, and animal feed. I didn't think I would say all of those together in a sentence ever. Previously, Brad was a founder of Assiniboia Farmland Limited Partnership, the first farmland investment fund in Canada, which was sold to Canada Pension Plan Investment Board in 2014 for $128 million. Prior to co-founding Assiniboia, Brad spent 15 years as a senior political advisor at the federal and provincial level in Canada. He has a Master of Public Administration in Electoral Governance from Griffith University in Australia and a BA in Liberal Arts from Providence University College in Manitoba. Brad has been an active impact investor around the world over the last decade, advising and investing in companies in such diverse places as West and North Africa, Central Asia, the Middle East, Australia, Nepal, Mongolia, Ukraine, Maldives, and Dubai. Whew. All right, Brad, take it away.
Thanks, Barrington, and hi, everybody. It's good to be here. Thanks to the CSE for putting this on. I remember when we started Assiniboia Farmland back in 2005, it was pretty hard to get investors to pay attention to anything agricultural. We would go to Toronto, and I remember at one presentation we had to pull out a map and show them where Saskatchewan was located. So lots of progress being made in this space, and lots of exciting developments, particularly when you see some of the, as Craig mentioned, some of the market caps compared to revenue. There's a lot of optimism in this space right now. So I want to kind of structure my questions sort of thematically. Let's talk about this from a consumer perspective first. And I'll just open it up to the three companies that have presented, and hopefully we can manage how this works virtually. But from a consumer perspective, first of all, Craig, you mentioned it about some of your cheeses. I'm curious with some of the others. If I'm going to go to the store and buy a plant-based food, am I going to notice the difference between that and what I've traditionally bought? Or, do I have to change my taste buds to like this stuff? Or is it going to be a substitution that's easy and natural, and I really don't even notice the difference other than I know that it's plant-based? So who wants to go first?
I guess
Go ahead, Ahmed.
Craig, do you want to go first? Or?
Sure. Yeah, I just had my unmute on. So, okay. To answer your question, I brought a little sample out here, and I wonder if you can see it. This is one of our bries that we've created. And the interesting thing about this is a truly aged and cultured product that we've developed that, to me, tastes as close to brie as anything that I've seen out on the market. And we didn't stop until we would go do test after test to try to replicate that flavor, that mouthfeel, the texture, and the quality. So is there a discernible difference? I feel it's negligible. And if we got a product that we've been developing, we're going to continue to push that development until we get as close to the actual dairy comparable as humanly possible.
And just while you're on that, regulatorily, are you able to call it cheese, or are there regulations that get in your way of being able to call it cheese?
Yeah, there are. We have to refer to it as in its own. We have to basically brand it as its own thing, or as brie style. Those words, brie and cheddar. They're very heavily regulated by governing bodies, not even in our country and in other countries. So there are limitations. So that is the challenge: is to try to get consumers to understand that this is actually a brie, as close to brie as you're going to get.
So I'm going to come to you in a second, Ahmed, but you just showed us, Craig, that plate with the brie on it, or the brie style, whatever you call it. So what's in it? Which plants are you using to produce something like this?
So this particular product is primarily made with cashews. There's a little bit of, there's some soy in there, there's cashews, and we're playing around with other ingredients, like we love using hemp seeds. We think that the high protein content is there. The protein is the most similar to casein in protein level that we can find. There's culture in there. So there's also a vegan there's two types of cultures. There's the one that gives you that nice sourness and brings it together, but what gives you the bloomy rind is another penicillium is what it's called, that we add to the beginning of the cheese that allows it to age and develop the same mouthfeel that brie does.
Okay, Ahmed, let's go over to you. You talk to us for a bit about the substitution of your product for the traditional. You've talked about cheesecakes. You talked about meat and cheeses. So talk to us a bit about that from your company's perspective.
Sure. From our perspective, it really, we look at it as people, as consumers ourselves. If you're want to enjoy food, we like food, really. You have to like it. So there's the texture, the taste, the mouthfeel. So before we even begin developing a product, we consider the ingredients and the purpose of each ingredient. And so we look at it from a sort of technical perspective: is what's the end result? What's the specs? Let's call it the spec of the final product. What do you want to achieve? So we're developing something from scratch. Our cheesecakes, I'll take the tiramisu, our top seller. I love tiramisu before going plant-based, so we had to have one. And it's like, so how if you enjoy it, like to enjoy it the same way, what do we need to achieve? We need the right texture, the right richness. Great ingredients. You can do it with so many different things. So the ingredients, it really, how do you process them? There's a lot of little things that have to be addressed to really achieve the outcome that you're looking for. What it comes down to is really what do you want to do? And what we want to do with our products is feed your gut. So when we look at like using we don't use gluten for a very specific purpose, even though it would have made our lives easier. It actually destroys your gut wall and gets into your bloodstream. And this has nothing to do whether you're celiac or not. You could be not celiac, but it could lead to multiple sclerosis, for example. So how do you choose the ingredients, and what you end up with is very important. We want to make food that feeds people and addresses sustainability, addresses nutrition, and allows as many people to enjoy it versus just a few. At the same time, not harm them. So we really, sorry, I went off like here. So can you tell me exactly what?
Why don't we go to Carla and Laura? I looked at your website, and you have a bar on there. You didn't really talk about that in your presentation, and you've got what I'm calling sort of tofu 2.0 with chickpeas and fava beans. Those I'm familiar with because I'm here in Saskatchewan as well, and so how's the reaction been from consumers to your products? And focus on the one you want.
So initially we launched with pulse protein and fiber bars, and then one of our ingredients was on back order for a year and a half, so we had to pivot. Being a startup, we're used to that. So we got on all the shelves of all the major retailers, and then now we've partnered up with AGT Foods, so we have no more supply issues, which is fabulous. And now we're going to be launching that new plant protein 2.0. So we haven't actually launched it, where it's going to be launched in the next kind of few weeks here in some local stores in Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Great. Let's talk for a minute about this trend from farmers' perspective. So I'm in the business of dealing with farmers, and we lend to farmers, we fund farmers. They're prairie farmers, so they tend to be grain and oilseed farmers, and so I know some of our clients grow chickpeas, they grow fava beans, they grow lentils, but they aren't growing hazelnuts and some of these other things. So I'm trying to understand, if I'm a farmer, should plant-based food worry me, or should I be excited and encouraged by it and see opportunity in it? Your mic's still on, Laura. Why don't you talk about that, and then we'll come back around to the rest of the group.
Well, being from Saskatchewan, my grandpa had a farm, our great-grandpa had a farm. So we are very excited about plant-based foods. I think it's a great addition. Like, we are the breadbasket. Saskatchewan's a breadbasket of wheat. Let's become the breadbasket of protein in Canada. Like, we have such an opportunity here. I think we should start taking advantage of it a lot more. We grow the most sustainable pulse crops in the world right here in Canada. And so I just think we should be talking about it a lot more, getting more excited. Right now, we're just shipping most of them. And I think it's really exciting that we can start creating more value add here in Canada and keeping these in Canada.
All right. So there's an opportunity there in some of those pulse crops that you talked about. Ahmed, let's come back to you. How do opportunities stack up for farmers with plant-based foods, like in the cheesecake space or some of this plant-based meat? We've got a lot of clients who produce meat, traditional meat, but should they be nervous?
Yes. So in terms of farmers producing pulses, the worry is not whether they'll go out of business, it's whether they're going to be able to produce enough. There's a trend and it's shifting, and we also have a climate change problem that's going to affect their yields. So they need to be addressing demand as well as production at the same time. If they're a meat processor, yes, they better start pivoting. But for farmers, they have a problem where they need to address sooner than later, because we're going to be processing these pulses here in Canada, and that's value added in the system where it will be used here as well as exported. Everything right now is coming out of China, one country. The supply chain is very fragile. We have an opportunity where Canada can be a major producer, not just for pulses, but the protein isolates, as well as value-added products. So the worry is more on, can we produce enough and fast enough?
All right, and Craig, any perspective to add to that?
I mean, that's an interesting question. I see it as an opportunity. I feel like the pivot is going to happen on all sides here. The restaurants are going to pivot to customers' demand. Farmers will need to pivot to the agricultural demand from the product distribution standpoint. And it's becoming so expensive to produce dairy, to produce meat these days, that I really hope that people will take that into consideration and start to bring these new products to market that are going to be used in greater frequency with chefs and food companies for a long time, for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so you've talked about price there. How does the price of your product compare to what it's trying to replace, say at retail? So if I walk into a store, what am I going to pay more for, and how much more will I pay?
Yeah, you're gonna pay less for a comparable style brie. I mean, with everything, whether it's beef, dairy, there's going to be different levels. We're going to be in the middle to upper sort of middle premium market. So I feel like the price is going to be comparable, because I notice this in my business every day. The prices just continue to go up and up and up, and the shortages is what I'm starting to see affecting my business and what I'm able to purchase and put on the plate in the restaurants as well.
So what sorts of things are you experiencing shortages in?
I'm experiencing shortages mostly in meat. So beef's the biggest one. There's beef shortages that you wouldn't believe. And that has forced our distributors to pivot and essentially bring us products from other channels, from other countries that I wouldn't normally want to buy if I'm forced to keep those things on my menu. And that's the tough thing. So if you're a small scale like me, we can play and take things off. But if you're large scale national chain, and all of a sudden the product that you want doesn't come from Canada anymore, it comes from Brazil, and the quality is different, and it's a big mess, and we need to be aware of that and plan alternate strategies.
Here in Saskatchewan, we have 3 million cows and 1 million people. So if you're short on beef, you should just come here. We don't control. If we don't keep eating the cows, they'll overrun us. So,
sorry to interrupt, Brad. We have just less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. Let's talk about this from an investor perspective. This is an investor forum, after all. There's a part of me that wonders how sustainable the trend will be from an investor perspective. I lived through the dot-com boom, and valuations went crazy, and a lot of reality sunk in later. We saw a lot of that in the cannabis space in Canada. Investors got really excited about the potential, but potential doesn't keep a business alive. Earnings do. And somebody referenced that big market cap food company in one of their presentations, and And on $3.7 million of revenue, they've got a $600 million valuation. That's amazing. And I'd want to be raising money in that environment too. But can that last? And so let's think about this from an investor perspective for a moment. You see lots of growth potential in your business. Some of you are putting up some good numbers in terms of increasing sales. Is it falling through to the bottom line? And can you build sustainable, and I talk about sustainable from a financial perspective, can you build a sustainable, financially sustainable business on this trend? How long is it going to last? Ahmed, I saw you nodding, so I'm going to go to you first.
Sorry, I was just digesting the question. This is a very good question. We actually looked at diversifying revenue early on. So when we develop a product, we don't develop it for retail. Retail is just one vertical or one channel. We develop it for food service and recently with COVID, e-commerce. So we're building the logistics, or have built most of it right now to handle e-commerce. And moving forward is industrial. A lot of people forget that there's a lot of companies out there that use chicken in, or let's say cheese in current meals that they make and sell to retail. So other CPG companies that require ingredients. So we actually develop formats for those companies, and we've been experimenting with some of them. So as we grow, we have to make sure that we're diversifying our revenue. To mitigate something like COVID, for example, but also bring in revenue where you're not giving up a lot of your margins. In retail, you have to give up a lot of product, you do have to market quite a bit and spend, versus in food service or industrial. So that's straight up cash, and cash is very important for the business as you grow.
So if you had a choice, then you would rather grow in food service or online than in retail. Is that fair to say?
No, we're addressing all these channels at the same time. So we started with food service first, but retail is where you want to focus on your brand. Food service and industrial, where you can do volume and support the growth to grow your brand in the consumer's mind.
Okay, thanks. Laura or Carla, you guys can decide who. You got a bunch of funding from this protein supercluster thing. Tell us a bit about that. Most people won't know what that is. And as a local booster here in Regina, I think the world should hear a bit more about that. Tell us about it from your perspective as a recipient of funds.
Yeah, so we are so excited to get the $11.3 million from Protein Industries Canada. But what we're even more excited about is who we've been able to partner up with because of it. So we were talking with Dr. Tyler, and we were like, oh my gosh, our dream team, we would love to partner up with AGT Foods. They're the largest grower and producer of pulses. He's won like Entrepreneur of the World, like fabulous. And he started his company from Saskatchewan. So the opportunities that came from being with Protein Industries Canada, we could never have gotten here without them. So it's been very exciting.
And so the money that comes from them, is it, I think I heard you say it was a grant, and so it's not equity. Is it repayable, or how does this work?
No, it's a grant. So we need to, create lots of jobs for Canadians and create lots of value for farmers. And we're, at the same time, because we're plant-based foods, we're also like reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And just want to touch on that kind of like the sustainability of plant-based foods and if it's here to stay or if it's a trend. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like Jeff Bezos just put in $10 billion into climate change. Elon Musk, Prince William, like, I don't think it's a trend. We have to feed 10 billion people by 2050 in a healthy, sustainable way. And I think plant-based foods is how we're going to do it. And so I'm so excited that, the government is seeing that plant-based foods and plant-based protein is how we need to get there, and helping out us little companies by giving us some grant money too.
All right, thank you. Craig, final thoughts. What your company is called The Future of Cheese. What is the future of cheese? Tell us about the potential here. We're going to run out of time here, so these will be closing thoughts from you.
Yeah, I mean, really quickly, when you see governmental policy pushing a plant-based diet, all you have to do is look there to know that the future of our food ecosystem is around plants. And we are starting with cheese. We're going to move it beyond that when we can, but we want to narrow our focus, and that's and we want to feed people in a sustainable and absolutely delicious way.
All right, Barry Barrington, I think this brings us to the end of our session, at least from a questions perspective. There may have been some in the side chat, but I didn't have time to look over there. And I just want to thank everyone for coming, and maybe I'll turn it back to you for any closing comments or instructions.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brad. And again, I apologize to our audience. That's how it works sometimes. We just get talking and chatting. We have such a dynamic, experienced, well-versed panel. Just keep going. So if you want your questions answered and we didn't get to it, please contact the CSE. My name is Barrington, barrington.miller@thecse.com. As well, you can look at some of the profiles, look up the companies, and send them direct messages. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to continue these discussions. Thank you, Brad, as our moderator. Excellent questions, fantastic resource. And thank you to our presenters, Carla and Laura Gustafson from Ulivit, Ahmed Yahya from Nabati Food Inc., and Craig Harding, co-founder, Future of Cheese. As well, I want to give special acknowledgement to Scott Exner of MLT Aikens, Brad Farquhar again from Input Capital. He's been, like I said, a very valuable resource. Glenn Frazier and Leanne Magilla from MNP, Jim Harden from AVAC, Nicole Marchant from Snowcap Ventures, and our other moderators as well, Mark Francis and Anil Mall from the Canadian Securities Exchange. And last but not least, Grace Padota, who has been behind the scenes, stirring the drink, being the connector, and guiding us from session to session. May you have continued success in expanding your businesses. Thank you to our attendees for your time today. Go to the company websites, learn more about these companies. If you have a lead for them, do connect. Next up is next week, Plant Protein Company Pitch Part 2. Same bat time, same bat channel. Don't forget to check out CSE_TV, and you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. These recordings will be available on those platforms as well. We'll distribute it to the companies that presented, and they can put them on their platforms and tell their friends, and then tell their friends and their friends. Thank you to the other previous sessions as well. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for part 1 of the company pitch during Plant Proteins, the New Age of Food.